Now, according to a new Afrobarometer survey, South Africans are slightly more inclined to limit cross-border movement. The survey found that 51% are against, while 45% support free border movement. The organization says the majority also prefer protecting local producers from foreign competition. Let's find out some more now. We'll speak to Asafika Mpako, who joins us from here in Pretoria, and she is the communications coordinator with the Institute for Justice, or with Afrobarometer. Asafika, thank you so much for your time this evening. Some interesting findings there, and obviously very pertinent research that you're doing if you look at what's in the news on a week-by-week basis. Talk to me about some of your main findings, specifically looking at those who support free border movement and those who don't.
Thank you so much for having me, Marcelle. So before I answer your question, I'd just like to give a brief view of who we organization. Afrobarometer is a pan-African non-partisan survey research network that provides reliable data on African experiences and evaluations of democracy, governance, and quality of life. And in this particular study, we find that 45% of South Africans favor the free movement of people across international borders in the Southern Africa region in order to work or trade in other countries. Only a slim majority, that is 51%, say that in order to protect its own citizens, the government should limit free cross-border movement. And we find that opposition to free cross-border movement is higher in cities than it is in rural areas, and it also increases with respondents' education level, ranging from just 36% among those with no formal education to 56% among those with a post-secondary qualification. And as it relates to trade, we also ask South Africans whether they believe that their government should only allow South Africans and corporations of their own country to trade in consumer goods, or whether the government should continue to allow foreign nationals and foreign corporations to set up shop in the country. And we found that 43% of South Africans say that foreign nationals should be allowed to continue to trade in consumer goods in order to ensure a wider selection of products for consumers. And 47% said that they would prefer for only South Africans to trade in consumer goods.
Explain, maybe perhaps there's some clarity needed there, because you did say there was a finding that the majority prefer protecting local producers from foreign competition. Is the understanding there that they don't want foreign competition as in products coming from overseas? Or, like you said, is it more community-based, that they would prefer local shops not to be owned and run by foreigners?
I think that if you look at our findings very closely, Marcelle, you see that there is the sense that South Africans are split on whether to go the international trade route or whether to protect local industries. But I think that it would be fair to say from our survey findings that South Africans would like to see a good balance of both, where the government does prioritize local production and also protects domestic industries, but also allows foreign competition in the country. But as we've seen through foreign competition, some of our industries have been decimated by that kind of competition. So I think that South Africans recognize this and they want a better balance between the two.
Another one of your findings, very interestingly enough from an economic point of view, is that the United States is the most popular development model in South Africa, cited by 30% of your respondents, followed by China, who cite 20% of your respondents. Do you have an understanding as to what fuels that view?
I think Marcelle, it would be fair to say that South Africans favor the United States model of development because it is the most dominant model of development across the world. So we see privatization, liberal economics quite dominant across the world. So South Africans are quite aware of that model and so would favor it more than they would others. But also because of our diplomatic ties with China, South Africans have come to observe the more state-led kind of development that China adopts. And so I see that from our survey, South Africans find that that kind of model of development where the state directs development, it steers development, is also very appealing to South Africans. But it would also be good to note here that 11% of our respondents also said that they would prefer for South Africa to develop its own model of development. And so I think that that also demonstrates that there is a desire for homegrown solutions and thinking around development.
Now, one of the biggest stories this year, the theme really has been the focus on the relationship between South Africans who live side by side with foreign nationals, whether in business or just where they live their lives. The main finding of your survey, finding that 51% are against, while 45% support free border movement. That's almost split down the middle and really doesn't reflect some of the harsher narrative that we've seen being reported on in some communities in South Africa. What does your team of researchers make of that finding then?
I think, Marcelle, it's very important also to just give a bit of background around our methodology. In every country in which we conduct our work, we use nationally representative samples of respondents are randomly selected. The sample is distributed across provinces and urban and rural areas in proportion to their share in the national population. And so every adult citizen has an equal chance of being selected. And I say that to just put across that our data is stands up to industry standards. And we have found that South Africans, a large majority, 45%, are actually in favor of free movement, at least in the Southern Africa region. And I think that it shows that South Africans realize that our borders are already quite porous as it is. And because of South Africa's positioning within SADC and also within the broader African region as an economic powerhouse, people move in and out of South Africa quite frequently. So I think that South Africans recognize this and they know that on paper, strict borders may seem very appealing, but in practice, it's very different. And some of the sentiment, the harsh sentiment that we've heard on paper by political leaders and such doesn't reflect.
Okay, we're going to leave it there as we're about to lose your signal. Thank you so much for your time this evening. That's Asafika Mpako. She is the communications coordinator for Afrobarometer. And I'm sure if you just find them on social media or on the internet, you can find even more information on this survey. It really does make for interesting reading. Very difficult to bring all of the body of that survey across in a 5-minute interview.